Number 10. Eric Nerhuis. Eric Nerhuis was collecting shellfish off the Australian fishing town of Eden with his son and some friends in 2007 when he was suddenly attacked 25 feet beneath the waves. Lurking below was a 10-foot-long shark. Thought to be a great white, the creature nearly swallowed Eric alive. Half his body was in its mouth as he fought desperately to free himself. Thankfully, Eric survived to tell the harrowing story of how he escaped. He told Australia's 9 Network that he felt around for the shark's eye socket and pushed down into it with 2 of his fingers. It shocked the creature into opening its mouth, giving Eric an opportunity to wriggle free. The shark continued trying to bite the man as he swam to safety, surrounded by a crimson cloud of his own blood. Eric credits a weighted lead vest he was wearing with keeping the animal's teeth from sinking into his chest and vital organs. But he didn't exactly emerge from the ordeal unscathed and was treated at a hospital for multiple injuries to his head, torso, and left arm. According to an expert, the hungry shark likely mistook Nerhuis for a seal, which are quite common in the waters of Australia. Number 9. Chad Barker. A Decatur, Illinois man named Chad Barker was grateful for his life last year after not 1, but 2 sharks attacked him during a vacation to Belize. He and his wife decided to go snorkeling with nurse sharks, which is generally regarded as a safe activity for tourists. But things went terribly awry less than 30 seconds after the couple entered the water. The current swept Chad into the middle of a shark-feeding frenzy, and 2 8-foot-long specimens sank their teeth into his hand. He told local station WAND 17 that the attack happened incredibly fast. Less than 1 minute passed from the time Chad entered the water to the time he emerged from it with deep wounds. There was no emergency room nearby, so he was taken to a local OBGYN, where he paid $200 for what he considered to be less than good care. Chad decided to finish out the trip despite his injuries. In fact, he and his wife planned to retire in Belize, indicating that while the ordeal was alarming, it fell short of traumatizing the pair. Barker is apparently used to misfortune. He attributed the event to his inherently bad luck, claiming that a black cloud follows him around. And perhaps he's right. Only 6% of shark attacks involve snorkelers, making what happened to him a very rare occurrence. Number 8. Jordan Lindsay. In 2019, 21-year-old Jordan Lindsay joined her family on a trip to the Bahamas. During their 3rd day there, they decided on a whim to go snorkeling at Rose Island, which is famous for its wild swimming pigs. At some point during the excursion, Jordan suddenly began to scream. She was being attacked by multiple sharks. Her mother, Cami, desperately tried to pull her to safety, but her attempts were futile. The sharks ripped off one of Jordan's arms and bit her all over her body, including on her legs, her behind, and the arm that they didn't rip off. By the time the young woman was pulled from the water, she was fading in and out of consciousness. A boat arrived to take Jordan to emergency treatment, but it had no medical supplies, not even a first aid kit. Her family members tried using towels to slow the bleeding, but their efforts were in vain. It was unfortunately too late to save Jordan by the time she arrived at the hospital. Her devastated loved ones called for better medical training among workers in the tourism industry. The company that hosted a snorkeling session offered its condolences to the distraught family and promised to improve its safety protocols. Number 7. ADRIENNE WIKSO. In May of last year, a bull shark attacked a 64-year-old Florida resident named ADRIENNE WIKSO out of the blue while she was on a longboard in the waters off New Smyrna Beach. The vicious fish reportedly clamped its jaws down on the woman's foot and refused to let go as it emerged from the water, thrashing violently and tossing WIKSO like a fish in the process. WIKSO managed to free herself by kicking the shark with her free foot. Her friend guided her to shore, leaving a bloody trail in the water behind them. The victim was rushed to the hospital, where she underwent a 4-hour operation to repair her shredded foot. Her prognosis was good. Doctors predicted that WIKSO would make a full recovery, at least physically. But emotionally disentangling from the traumatic event was another story, leaving the woman unsure if she would ever swim in the ocean again. New Smyrna Beach is one of the most notorious places in the world when it comes to the number of shark bites that are known to happen there. Most injuries are minor, but each encounter serves as a sobering reminder that nobody is immune to a shark attack, and that there's always a chance of things turning out much worse, or perhaps even deadly. and bites were uncharacteristically low last year, but experts did not take this as a sign that things are improving long-term. Instead, they attributed the unusually low bite rate to COVID-19 restrictions that kept most people at home. Number 6. Lucas CRUZ. 15-year-old Lucas CRUZ came terrifyingly close to death in August of last year when a 500-pound bull shark sank its teeth into his body. The youngster was lobstering in the waters off Maine when the attack happened. At first, he thought he had been hit by a boat, only to realize moments later that there were no boats nearby. The shark proceeded to bite Lucas all over his legs, causing serious muscle damage and severing his Achilles tendon. CRUZ bled profusely, and while he didn't think that he was going to die, he began to worry that he might lose his leg. He lost an estimated 70% of his blood volume, bringing him closer to death than he probably realized. But he survived, and doctors even managed to repair his legs. Miraculously, they predicted that the boy would make a full recovery. Speaking with Newsweek, Dr. Liz Ramal said that Lucas may need more reconstructive surgery in the future, but she predicted that he would soon be back to normal. The traumatized teen said that he didn't plan on returning to the water anytime soon, but that he was sure he would get back to it eventually. Many of his family's activities are water-based, so if he wants to spend as much quality time with them as he's used to, he kind of has no choice but to leave dry land at some point. Number 5. KAELAH Marlow. 19-year-old KAELAH Marlow was the first person to die from a shark attack in New Zealand in 8 years last year. She was in the water at Waihi Beach on the country's North Island when bystanders suddenly heard screaming. A great white shark had grabbed hold of the young woman and was dragging her deeper into the water as it viciously mauled her. Lifeguards rushed to get KAELAH to dry land. Emergency responders performed CPR on her for 20 minutes, but failed to revive her. She suffered fatal injuries to her leg and was pronounced dead at the scene. To prevent another tragedy, swimmers were ordered out of the water. At a vigil memorializing Marlow, local resident Mark Wilson told the press that it was common to see sharks in the area, and that he believed it was only a matter of time before a tragedy like this would happen. Other locals agreed that sharks are often seen in the region, but said that the creatures are usually harmless. Number 4. 2010 Egypt shark attacks. Toward the end of 2010, the Egyptian seaside city of Sharm el-Sheikh was hit with an unusually high number of shark attacks. The sudden spree of violence started on December 1st of that year, when a shark left 48-year-old Olga Martinenko with severe spine and limb injuries. Thankfully, she survived, thanks to some bystanders who pulled her from the water. The next attack happened just minutes later, when a shark bit off 70-year-old beachgoer Lyudmila Stolyarova's foot and arm. Onlookers used rubber fins to scare the creature off. 54-year-old Yevgeny Trishkin was the angry shark's next target. He lost part of his leg in the ordeal. After that, 46-year-old Viktor Koly lost a foot. All 4 victims were Russian and Ukrainian tourists. The government immediately closed its beaches and summoned experts to investigate. They caught 2 suspected culprits, a 7.5-foot white-tip shark and an 8-long-foot mako shark. But the carnage resumed just a day after the beaches reopened, when a shark bit off a 71-year-old German woman's arm. Sadly, she died from her injuries. Researchers suspected that shark behavior in the area had been changed by overfishing, leading hungry creatures to become more aggressive towards humans than usual. Additionally, scuba diving companies were accused of feeding sharks to attract tourists, thereby teaching the animals to associate people with food. The attacks may have also been triggered by bloody sheep remains that were dumped in the water as part of the recent Eid al-Adha holiday. Number 3. Julie DIMPERIO HOLOWACH. While swimming with a daughter off Bailey Island during a vacation to Maine in 2020, New York resident Julie DIMPERIO HOLOWACH was fatally attacked by a great white shark. The mother-daughter duo were seen laughing and playing together in the water when a massive creature suddenly breached the surface and pulled HOLOWACH under. At the same time, people nearby began to hear screaming. The attack happened just 60 feet from shore. Horrified onlookers watched as HOLOWACH thrashed for just a few seconds before her body went limp, according to NBC 10 Boston. Good Samaritans and emergency responders worked together to get the 63-year-old woman to shore, and they fought to save her life, but she tragically succumbed to her injuries. Scientists identified the attacking specimen as a great white shark, based on a tooth fragment that was recovered from the scene. The deadly incident was an unusual event, in the words of Maine Department of Resources Commissioner Patrick Kelleher. And it's true that great whites are rarely spotted in the waters off Maine, which is at the northern end of their range. But it's also not unheard of for one to be seen in the area, and there are recorded sightings dating back to the 1800s. On average, 2 or 3 are spotted in the region every year, but researchers think that number could soon increase due to climate change warming the ocean. Number 2. Thomas Abraham Butterfield. Details of a deadly shark attack that happened off the California coast late last year were finally just released to the media. 42-year-old Thomas Abraham Butterfield was bodyboarding in Morro Bay of Sacramento on Christmas Eve when a great white shark bit him in the head, leaving him with a fractured skull and other catastrophic wounds. He was dead within minutes of the attack. Another surfer found the man tethered to his board and dragged him back to shore, but a medical examiner later determined that he was probably dead before he reached dry land. The newly released coroner's report details the gruesome injuries, which include bites to the head, chest, and shoulder, with the largest cut measuring 16 inches long. One of the shark's teeth was found inside Butterfield's body. DNA tests confirmed that it belonged to a great white. Butterfield was in a turbulent area with murky waters known as the Pit when the fatal encounter occurred. Some surfers avoid these conditions because they believe that great whites are more likely to be lurking in areas like this. The victim's uncle, Grant Butterfield, told the Los Angeles Times that the loss of his nephew was terrible, especially since Thomas was just starting to make something of himself when his life was cut short. Number 1. Parker Blanchette. Parker Blanchette is an avid surfer who hits the waves 6 times a week, even after being attacked by a shark last year at the age of 14. The 8th grader was surfing at North Beach near Honolulu when a shark came out of nowhere and bit him in the foot. He felt what he described as a small punch to the leg and swam to shore at the first sight of blood. Thankfully, the shark only clamped its jaws down for about a half second before letting go, and the creature wasn't huge. By Parker's estimate, it measured roughly 5.5 feet long, but it still managed to do quite a bit of damage. Once he reached dry land, Parker called his mom, Amanda, and calmly told her about what had happened. His laid-back approach to a serious medical emergency helped to keep Amanda from panicking as EMTs treated the wound and took her son to the emergency room, where he received over 100 stitches. Parker spent 2 days in the hospital. Amanda was inspired by the boy's ability to keep his cool in a stressful and terrifying situation. She was especially surprised to learn that the shark had bit Parker dangerously close to an artery. He was lucky that it missed the mark, which would have easily killed him. In a demonstration of maturity that proves he is wise beyond his years, Parker acknowledged that when he goes surfing, he's in the shark's territory. He wasn't angry at the animal and said that he was eager to heal so that he could get back out on the water. Thanks for watching. Would you rather have your foot torn off by a shark or have to spend the night alone in the jungle? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye!